Missing someone. Missing someone. Missing someone. With all your
So, egg ordering season is among us, and you're buying chicks and chicks coming in the mail, and you don't know what to use as your brooder. Well, let's talk about that. First, we need a container to put our chicks in. Any kind of container will actually work as long as it's safe. There's nothing inside of it that can harm your chicks. And I'm going to show you the container that I use. Also, before I show you this container, the container that I used before this, because this one's a little bit more on the more expensive side, a cheaper container would be a storage container that you use to put things in. Like a, it's kind of hard to explain. You put clothes in it, you put it in like your building or something. That's exactly what you do, but you keep the lid off of it. I'm going to show you my chick brooder. Now, I store my chick brooder inside of this little building just because it keeps it out of being out of the weather or, you know, out of the building. It's just in here, and it has some stuff stored in it right now. But as soon as my baby chicks, I reach the 18th day, I'm going to get it out and get it prepared. But it's not even close to the 18th day yet, so I'm just going to show you my chick brooder right now. It is a horse trough. I actually just got this not too long ago when I had my baby chicks. This last time, because this is the first time I've really raised chickens on my own. And in there is just like a vacuum cleaner and stuff that my dad uses. But that is a good example. A horse trough like this that is really tall, and your chicks can grow about 2 months in your house without having to need to go outside. And as far as the smell goes, in a brooder with keeping chicks of that age inside, it's all about the maintenance. You keeping it clean, that's what matters. If you keep your brooder clean and you change your shavings every other day or every 3 days or whatever, you are going to keep and maintain that smell, that odor that comes from chicks. Chickens are not really that nasty of creatures on their own. Yes, they poop everywhere, but in all reality, they're kind of more on your hygienic type of side for animals, in my opinion. Like, ducks are probably worse than definitely chickens are. So your chickens are going to be a little bit more hygienic and less nasty. Does that mean that you're not going to have your chick brooder that has poop in your water? Absolutely not. My chicks did that. They got poop in their water, shavings in their water, but you have to find a way to eliminate that, which is what I'm going to be talking about. They're having a grand old time. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? Oh, he's trying to fight me. Yeah, he's a rooster. Y'all already know. What exactly is pine shavings? Now, my chicken brooder needs to be cleaned out. Believe it or not, since the last time you saw inside the chicken brooder, I actually cleaned all this shavings out and replaced it. So, yes, chickens are messy, mostly with the poop and dropping the pellets everywhere. But as far as that goes, they're more of a hygienic chicken. Look at him. He's like, can you empty out my water? I'm going to do it in a second, buddy. But pine shavings is just like this little material that they make out of wood. I'm explaining this to people who don't live in the country and they don't really know anything. It's just like these little wood grains. Oh, back up. Get back, buddy. Back. Oh, okay, well. They're just like these little shavings. Yes, I still get shavings in my water and in my food stuff, but I also need to hang my water up in my food, thing up, but I haven't done it yet. But anyways, these are just little pine shavings that he tried to attack me. Sad thing is I probably did not catch that on camera because I was really scared. So now my family's not going to believe me. The fact that Barbara is actually starting to try to attack me, and that's why she needs to be rehomed. Anyways, let's move on with the more positive So like note. I said, pine shavings. Now, you should be doing a little bit of research yourself when buying chicks. This shouldn't be something that you jump into and impulse buy. Now, impulse buying is fun. Let me just say that right now. I've impulse bought a guinea pig before without, well, I knew a lot of information on it. So technically that wasn't an impulse buy because I knew practically everything on my guinea pig and what it needed. But an impulse buy can be fun, but also it's an animal. It's like a human being. You need to make sure you know what you need to get. I have grew up around chickens. I grew up around chicken brooders with my grandpa. I know what I'm talking about, and I know the things that need to go in here. And I'm just going to give you a little bit more of a cheaper option and a little bit of the nitty-gritty. Now, since we talked about the container that they should be in, and we talked about the material, which is pine shavings, not cedar, not any of the other types of tree shavings, you only want pine shavings. And as I showed in the video where Barbara tried to attack me, and you really couldn't see because I looked back on the video, that's pine shavings, little pieces. There's also something called sawdust, and people get that confused. They get sawdust and pine shavings confused. I saw in a video one time, pine shavings is a whole lot different than sawdust. If you're using sawdust in your chick brooder, how are your chicks still alive? Anyways, but if you don't know the difference, sawdust is little shreds of wood. When you're cutting something with a saw, like on a board or a 2x4 or any kind of wood or something, and you're sawing it, you know, with your little sawler, whatever you're doing, and it's like spraying out that's sawdust. You do not want to use that for your chick brooder because it can set up upper respiratory infection and probably any other kind of infections. I honestly don't know what it could do, but I just know it's not good. So the most important thing besides the environment that they need is the feed and water. Now, feed and water is the most important thing in my opinion. If you don't have anything for it right now to live in, if it is an impulse buy, which it shouldn't be, if you don't have anything for it to live in, at least get it some food and some water. Some people who I watch actually use plates as a method to put their starter on. Starter. Let's talk about starter. Starter is basically what its name is. It's to get your chicks started on food, to make it grow, to give it the nutrients that it needs in its little baby life. Just like as we're a baby, we drink formula, or, you know, someone is breastfed, then they're getting the nutrients that they need to grow them into a toddler. That's all you're basically doing. You're trying to grow your chick up to an older age where they can get put on pellets. Pellets is a lot different. I'm not really sure the months that you need to change into pellets because I'm not there yet. But I'm pretty sure it's after 15 weeks you can change into pellets, or your chick is old enough, or your chickens are old enough. So let's talk a little bit about the things that you would need for your food and water. Most of the stuff that I'm going to show is from Tractor Supply. So if you have a Tractor Supply near you, that's great. If you have any kind of other feed store, I'm pretty sure you can probably find something kind of similar to this. Most of these feed and waters that I'm going to show you, I think the price ranges around $3 and something of that nature. But like I said, if you don't have money at the time to buy at least a feeder and you don't have the money, you can just use a paper plate like I have seen. As far as water goes, I'm not really sure what you could do. Maybe get like a little tiny little bowl or something for your chicks. But if they are freshly born, put some rocks or marbles inside of their water. That way your chick does not drown. And that's also what you need to do with the water that I'm going to show you now. Okay, so this is my water that I use for my chicks. Please keep in mind, I do need to wash it. I haven't washed it probably since the last time that I used it. I think I just kind of rinsed it. I need to really like wash it with some soap and water. If you're going to wash anything with soap and water, like I said in my washing bowl video for my dogs and my chickens, use Dawn. That's the best solution for washing any kind of animal bowls, whether it be a chicken, a dog, a cat, a ferret, whatever you have. It's best to use Dawn. Most safest thing that you can ever use. You can also wash your animal in it. So if you can wash your animal in it, you can wash their dog bowls in it. So all this is a little, I think this is a quart. I think it's measured to a quart. Yeah. A quart-sized thing that holds a quart-sized water, obviously. I don't know why I said that. And a little thing that looks like this. Now, if you go to Tractor Supply and you see one that is tinier than this, because there are some that the little line, the little edge goes to like right here. Practically what that's made for is your quail. Your quail has to have a tinier water because when a chick is a little baby, they're about this size. When a quail is a baby, it's about this size, which is totally different. So like I said, when you put your water in here, you fill this up underneath the sink. There's a certain way you have to do it. Trust me, you'll learn after time of using it, because if you don't do it a certain way, it'll spill everywhere. You put the water in here. You might want to just maybe fill it to probably like right here or right here. You don't want to fill it all the way up. It's too much water. You'll have to be changing this quite often. So I wouldn't just like overfill it and be like, oh, that's going to last a whole day. It's not. It's not going to last a whole day. They're going to get shavings. You're going to have to empty out this because it gets dirty. So what you're going to do when you fill it up with your water is twist on your little thing. Make sure it's nice and tight. If it's not, when you flip it over, it's just going to come right off. And then right whenever you're getting near your chicken brooder and you're about to put it in, flip it real quickly. I mean really quick. And put it down in there. Then you can place your little marbles if they're still a day or 2 or 3 days old. I think you can take it out after they're 5 days old or 6 days old, maybe a week. You could take out the marbles or the rocks. I got my chicks when they were like a week to almost 2 weeks old, so I did not need to put my marbles or rocks in there. So if you do have a little bit of money, you can use marbles. If you don't have a lot of money and you're on a budget, just go outside to your yard, pick a few little bit of like tinier more rocks, kind of like this size, wash them off really good underneath your sink to get the dirt and everything off. And then once you got if you put soap on it, once you got all the suds off, just lay it inside of the water tray and you'll be good to go. And also, when you're putting your chicks inside of your brooder, you need to make sure that if they're coming out of if you got them in a hatchery, like the book that I have right here, if you're wondering where to order some chicks, McMurray Hatchery is a good company. I'm not sponsored or anything, but you can order all kinds of chicks in here. No matter what you want, they're all in here. But if you're ordering them off a website like that, you need to also make sure, just like I'm saying, if they're born in an incubator or your chickens hatch them out, you need to dip their beak inside the water. When this is your new home, dip their beak inside the water. It sounds hurtful, but it's not. It's teaching them where the water is. You dip their beak, they know to come back to this to get water. If you don't dip their beak, is it very important? Is it something that's going to make a big difference? In my opinion, yes. Because you're not teaching your chick that, hey, here's the water supply. This is where you get your water. And if they don't know where the water is, you obviously know what's going to happen. They'll dehydrate and pass away or die. I don't know if you're allowed to say that on YouTube. The next thing I'm going to tell you is a feeder. Now, you guys have seen my troughs that I love that are in my chicken coop right now. I only have 2 at the time, and they're all inside of my chicken coop. Now, those troughs come with these little trays that you can put on them. These are perfect for newborn chicks, but also you can use them at the age that they are now. This just basically keeps your chicks from walking in your trough. But personally, I didn't use them because I like to watch my chicks scratch around, because that's their natural instinct. They love to scratch, make room. They act like they're finding a worm. If it gives them enjoyment, I'm gonna let them do it. As long as it's not harming anybody, I think it's okay. But you just put these little things on top, and it just keeps your chick from sleeping in your trough or whatever. But personally, in my opinion, I don't use these. But you could also use them as something else. You can like find a DIY as a hanger or something, whatever you want to do. But I just keep them around just in case I actually have a chick that needs this. Maybe they do poop everywhere inside the trough. I didn't really have that much of a problem with mine. They didn't really do that. But if I did have a problem with my day-old chicks learning, I'd probably use this. Now, as far as another feeder goes, it kind of looks like the water that I showed. So basically what this is it has a little dish, just like this, and it has a little cover. Now, you twist this cover on like this. You don't put your food in here. That's a misconception. Don't put your food in here. You put your food in your quart jar that comes with it. And of course, it holds a quart. Where should you fill it up? You can fill this thing all the way up if you wanted to. Just because all you have to do to like clean it out is just shake this out to get the shavings out. It's very easy to clean. So you just twist it on here, same way, upside down. Twist it. Well, if I can twist it on there really tight, and then of course flip it quick. Flip it really, really quick because it's going to spill out. So this is also a great food feeder for your chicks. I personally did not use this. I just use the troughs. For my new chicks, maybe they don't like the trough. Maybe they'd rather prefer this. It's all about what your chicks like. Let's say you are on a budget and you don't have the time to go pick up one maybe, or you just don't want to use the paper plate. You want something a lot better. Let's say, for instance, that you have one of these, but you don't have one of these. These get lost very easy. Things happen, they break, all kinds of stuff. I can tell you another way that you can do it. And in a way, sometimes I think this looks a lot more cooler, in my opinion, than the one you get from the store. But I'll show you my grandpa's chick feeder. I kept this because we were tearing down the chicken coop, his old one, and we were going through everything, and I decided to keep this because I thought it would be very cool to just show my YouTube. So, this is his old feeder. I personally will not use this for my chickens just because it's really old and other chicks have used it. But I thought it was pretty cool to show you guys and keep it as a memorabilia of my grandpa's chicken coop. So basically what this is the same thing that I showed you on this feeder, but metal. And I don't think that this comes off. If it does, it's having a very hard time, but I don't think it does. So there's not really a way to clean the inside, or I would have cleaned it so you guys can see a much more clean surface than this. But what you do is, he always took mason jars. This has tape on it because he would tape a zip tie to the top of it and flip it upside down and hang it. So yeah, he obviously DIY'd his stuff, which I honestly think is a lot cooler. So all you have to do, twist this on the same exact way, and you also get more food, because look how big this is compared to this. That is a huge mason jar. This is a at last mason jar. This is a very old mason jar. So I thought I'd keep this around for something cool to have. I think it's fun. You know, you flip it upside down. Look how cute that is. It's like, you know, pose for a thumbnail. Super duper cute. And it just reminds me of when my grandpa had chickens, what he would use. So yeah, there's many different types of feeders you can get. There's many different types of waters you get. It's really up to you, and it's really up to what your chicks like. The next thing I want to talk about is heat. Now, is heat very important to your chicks? Yes. Whether they be with their mother or whether they be in your brooder. When they're with their mom, they lay underneath their mom to keep warm. But when they're in the brooder that you are going to create, they're not going to have the warmth of their mom. And what will they need to keep warm? The thing is, a heat lamp. A lot of people do not trust these. So if you personally feel like maybe these are not safe or you are scared to use them, there's many different alternatives, such as a heat plate, which is basically this little black plate that the dibs can run underneath and keep warm. Personally, I am just a person who is simple and wants to use the heat lamp. If I watch my heat lamps, so if I had any concerns of it catching on fire or causing anything dangerous, I will obviously unplug it and find a different method. Now, you have seen my heat lamps inside of my chicken coop before. Basically what it is a heat shield, and it has a red bulb. Red bulbs create heat. The white ones, not so much. So if you go to Tractor Supply or wherever you're going to a feed store to buy these, or Lowe's, you need to make sure that you get the red heat lights. These are the only ones that project heat off them. You might say, well, a light bulb, when you touch it inside of a lamp, creates heat. Yes, it does. But it only creates heat when you touch it. It doesn't make the heat come out of the light bulb and separate it to all the chicks. So definitely get yourself one of these red heat bulbs. The one thing is, these are very hard to find. Sometimes Tractor Supply is sold out, especially around the time when people start ordering chicks or the chicks start to hatch. These go quick, so make sure you buy these up. I buy mine in a 2-pack, and most of the time, I know I was probably might get a question if somebody wants to know how many heat lamps do I use on my chicks. I usually use one, but if I see them huddled up and maybe that one heat doing it justice, then I will actually switch over to using 2. As far as how far should you put it on your brooder, like height wise, let's say here's your brooder, you probably need to put your heat light about like right here. But also get yourself a little thermostat that tells the heat inside to make sure that, hey, there is actually supposed to keep around 80 to 85 degrees inside your chick brooder. You need to make sure that you keep that, okay? Because your chicks will huddle up, and when they huddle up on each other, you may think, oh, they're cuddling, but that cuddling can cause them to suffocate. So you also need to make sure that they're not huddling up on each other. Now, if it's at nighttime and they're kind of like laying near each other, but not like huddled up on top of each other, that's perfectly fine. Barbara, Odie, and Dolly did that. They kind of laid beside each other because they feel comfort when they lay beside someone, but they weren't huddled up on each other like, oh, I'm shivering, I'm cold, because obviously at this point I was making sure that my temperature was right. So just get yourself a thermostat to make sure that the temperature is correct in your chick brooder. So I think I pretty much covered all the things that you need in your chick brooder. Another thing that I was going to include, but I didn't think that it was really that necessary to have, maybe if you have a chicken that's going to fly out like Barbara does, or like Barbara did, my bad, is a little wood surface or something with a screen on it to put over your chick brooder. That way it still gets air and it isn't blocking the heat lamp, but it also keeps your chicks from flying out. So if you can find something with like a little bit of like wire on it or something, that's perfect. Another question I thought probably I was going to get is, when is the time to put your chicks out to your chicken coop? A lot of different sources say a lot of different things. Personally, in my opinion, I waited till they were about 2.5 months old, but before I put them out in the chicken coop. I knew they were ready. I could tell. I looked at them and I thought, they're trying to fly. Odie got so big. Dolly was kind of a little bit more shorter. I mostly waited on Dolly to grow up because she was such a small chicken, which is wise because she was a hen. So, I pretty much covered everything. If you have any questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comments down below. If you notice something that I said wrong or you don't agree with, that's perfectly fine. You can leave it in the comments. We can discuss. I'm open to anybody's opinions. If you have a different method for your chick brooders as far as a light goes, you can leave that down in the comments, because I've really been looking at other people's sources saying what to use instead of the heat light, because I've heard a lot of bad things about it. But as long as you are making sure that your cord's not getting chewed up by a dog, or as long as you're making sure that the light bulb's screwed on and it's not going to fall, those things are pretty much safe, as long as they're kind of far away to where your animal can't get to them. Because I know you guys have probably noticed that I said that River and Boone have one. Well, it's pulled up tight enough to where they can't get to it. We always make sure that it's not unplugged or something's wrong with it. It's not faulty. So yeah, if you are going to use those, just make sure that, in my mind, I'm telling you that if you're going to use them, I feel a lot better if you make sure that everything's okay with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give a like and tell me, did I help you with anything? Of course, do not impulse buy, but if you are, watch this video. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time on Abby's Scoop.